Let's explore the concept of negative space. It's more than just empty areas in a design. It's the space surrounding and between the subject of an image, and it plays a significant role in our perception and understanding. Here's a visual representation. The circle is the positive space, the subject of the design. The surrounding area is the negative space. Both are crucial in how we perceive the overall image. Negative space has a strong psychological impact. It helps improve focus on the subject, enhances readability and clarity, creates balance and harmony, and can even evoke feelings of sophistication and elegance. Minimalism uses negative space to convey a message effectively, while clear brand identity relies on simplicity and ample negative space. This creates a clean, memorable brand presence. In logo design, negative space can create hidden meanings and enhance visual appeal. In website layouts, it provides a clean interface, improving user experience. In summary, negative space is as crucial as positive space. It improves focus, clarity, and balance, and is essential for minimalism and brand clarity. Understanding and using it effectively can enhance any design. Let's explore the peak end rule, a psychological principle that significantly impacts how people remember experiences, particularly in sales. This rule suggests that individuals don't recall an event as a whole, but rather based on the most intense moment and the final moment. The peak moment is the most intense part of the experience, whether positive or negative. It's the point that elicits the strongest emotional reaction. In sales, this could be a product demonstration, a moment of insightful discovery, or a particularly engaging interaction. The end moment is the final part of the experience, and it carries significant weight in how the entire event is remembered. It's the last impression a customer is left with, and it can strongly influence their overall perception of the interaction. While the peak moment is crucial for an emotional high, the end moment holds greater power in shaping the overall perception of the interaction. It influences future decisions, creates lasting memories, and determines whether a customer will feel satisfied and likely to return. To apply the peak end rule effectively, focus on creating a memorable peak, like a great product demo. Importantly, ensure a positive ending with actions such as a follow-up or a thank you. Avoid ending on a low note. By managing both the peak and the end, you can create more impactful and favorable experiences. Let's explore the narrative fallacy, which describes our human tendency to create stories to explain events, often oversimplifying complex situations. This can lead us to prioritize narratives over raw data, impacting our understanding of the world. Stories have a powerful impact. They are inherently engaging and memorable, making them a more compelling way to convey information. For example, a personal story of someone overcoming adversity can be far more impactful than abstract statistics. However, data alone can be abstract and impersonal. A graph showing a trend, for instance, might not resonate with an audience if it lacks a human context. This is where the narrative fallacy can mislead us, as we might reject data if it doesn't fit a preconceived narrative. The ideal approach is to combine stories with data. By using stories to humanize data, we can make complex information more relatable and easier to understand. This helps overcome the limitations of data alone and mitigates the narrative fallacy. Consider the difference between presenting a 10% poverty rate versus stating that 1 in 10 families struggles with poverty. The latter is more relatable. Adding a photo of the neighborhood and a story further humanizes the statistic, making it more impactful. In conclusion, while data is essential, the narrative fallacy shows that stories can often trump data. Therefore, we must combine the power of stories with the accuracy of data, humanizing statistics to make them more impactful and relatable. This approach helps overcome the limitations of both data and narratives. The Challenger Sale is a sales methodology that emphasizes teaching customers new insights rather than simply pitching products. It challenges traditional sales approaches and provides a new perspective on how to engage customers effectively. Traditional sales focuses on building relationships, understanding customer needs, and providing solutions. In contrast, the Challenger approach prioritizes teaching new insights, challenging customer assumptions, and taking control of the sales conversation. This shift requires a different mindset and skill set. The Challenger approach is built on three core elements: teaching, tailoring, and taking control. Teaching involves providing new insights and perspectives. Tailoring means customizing the message to the customer's specific needs. Taking control is about guiding the sales process and its outcomes. From a neuroscience perspective, teaching activates the release of dopamine in the brain, which is associated with pleasure and reward. This sparks curiosity and enhances engagement, making the customer more receptive to new ideas and information. Tailoring messages to specific customer needs increases relevance and captures their attention. This personalized approach improves understanding and makes the customer feel valued, which is crucial for effective communication and building trust. Taking control of the sales process projects confidence and builds trust with the customer. This provides guidance and reassurance, helping them navigate the complex buying process more effectively. In conclusion, the Challenger sale approach focuses on teaching, which activates dopamine release, tailoring messages for increased relevance, and taking control to build trust and provide guidance. This methodology leverages neuroscience to create a more effective and engaging sales process. The halo effect is a cognitive bias where one positive trait influences our overall perception of a brand. In this case, we'll focus on how aesthetics affect perceived value. Aesthetics, such as clean design, high-quality images, and consistent branding, can greatly influence how we perceive a brand's value. When a brand looks good, we often assume that the quality of its products or services is also high. Consider these simple shapes as logos. The circle is okay, the square feels higher quality, and the triangle might be seen as less trustworthy. Even without knowing the brand, our perception of value is influenced by the visual presentation. The link between aesthetics and trust is strong. When a brand presents itself with a well-designed logo and overall consistent branding, it conveys professionalism and credibility. This, in turn, enhances trust. In summary, the halo effect shows how aesthetics influence perceived value and trust. A well-designed logo and strong branding can shape a brand's identity and build a sense of trust with consumers. The Gestalt principles are a set of rules that describe how humans visually perceive the world. They explain how we group similar elements, recognize patterns, and simplify complex images. These principles guide how our brains fill in the blanks and create a unified whole from disparate parts. The principle of proximity states that objects that are close to each other are perceived as a group. Our brains naturally organize elements that are near each other into a single unit, regardless of how different they might be. The principle of similarity suggests that similar objects are perceived as a group. When elements share visual characteristics like color, shape, size, or texture, our brains tend to group them together. The principle of closure describes how the brain fills in missing parts to complete a shape or pattern. Even if a figure is incomplete, our minds perceive it as a whole, continuous form, filling in any gaps. The principle of continuity states that the eye follows lines, curves, or sequences in a direction. We tend to perceive elements arranged on a line or curve as more related than elements not on that line or curve. The principle of figure ground describes how the brain separates objects from their background. We perceive some elements as the figure, or the focus of attention, while others recede into the background. This can lead to interesting visual ambiguities. In conclusion, understanding the Gestalt principles allows designers to create more intuitive and effective visual experiences. By leveraging these principles, we can guide the viewer's perception, making our designs more engaging and easy to understand. These principles are fundamental to how we perceive the world. Let's explore the foot-in-the-door technique, a persuasion strategy where gaining small agreements leads to larger commitments. Imagine someone asking you to participate in a short survey. It's a small, easy request. This works due to psychological principles. People desire consistency in their actions, and initial agreements can shift their self-perception, making them more likely to agree to subsequent requests. In upselling, this technique is used by first getting customers to buy a basic item, then offering a premium upgrade. The initial purchase makes them more receptive to the upselling offer. In summary, the foot in the door technique is about starting with small requests to pave the way for larger commitments. It leverages our desire for consistency and how we view ourselves. It's a powerful tool in persuasion and upselling. Let's explore the concept of the empathy gap. This is the difference between understanding something intellectually and truly feeling it on an emotional level. It explains why facts alone often fail to move us as deeply as stories do. Facts, while important, often remain in our rational mind. For example, if I tell you that 1 million people lack access to clean water, it is a statistic. Stories, on the other hand, engage our emotions. When you imagine a mother walking miles to find contaminated water, it creates empathy and a deeper understanding. This empathy gap is evident in many situations. For instance, charity appeals that share a child's personal story are more effective than just presenting statistics. Similarly, political campaigns often use personal anecdotes to connect with voters, and businesses use customer testimonials to build trust. From a neuroscience perspective, facts primarily activate the rational areas of our brain. Stories, however, engage the emotional centers, causing a deeper and more lasting impact. This is why stories are more memorable and persuasive than mere facts. In conclusion, stories are powerful because they build emotional bridges. While facts inform, stories move. Empathy is key for understanding, and using stories can help us connect with others on a deeper level. By understanding the empathy gap, we can communicate more effectively and create lasting impacts. Affiliate marketing is a performance-based business model where companies pay commissions to partners who generate sales, leads, or traffic for them. The affiliate marketing process is straightforward. Affiliates join programs, receive unique tracking links, promote products, and earn commissions when customers make purchases through their links. Affiliate programs use different commission structures. Pay per sale gives a percentage of each purchase. Pay per lead compensates for customer information, and pay per click rewards for driving traffic. Affiliate marketing creates a win-win relationship. Merchants only pay for results while expanding their reach, and affiliates can earn passive income with minimal startup costs. To succeed in affiliate marketing, focus on choosing relevant products, building audience trust, providing value, testing different strategies, and being transparent about your affiliate relationships. In summary, affiliate marketing is a performance-based model connecting merchants, affiliates, and customers, offering low-risk marketing for businesses and passive income opportunities for promoters, with success built on trust and relevance. The likability factor is crucial in sales. People are more likely to buy from someone they like. Building rapport is essential to establishing that connection. Think of a sales interaction as a connection between two people. A solid connection is illustrated by the green arrow, showing good rapport. Conversely, a poor connection is shown by the faded red arrow, indicating bad rapport. Here are some key techniques for building rapport. Active listening shows that you care. Empathy helps you understand the customer's feelings. Finding common ground builds connection. Maintaining a positive attitude is inviting, and being authentic creates trust. Let's look at some examples. In a good interaction, the salesperson shows understanding and finds common ground, leading to a positive response. In a bad interaction, the salesperson is dismissive, leading the customer to disengage. In conclusion, likability is a powerful sales tool. By focusing on building genuine connections, you can increase sales effectiveness and customer satisfaction. Remember, people buy from people they like. The golden ratio is a mathematical concept that has been used in art and design for centuries. Let's explore how this ratio creates subconscious harmony in logos and see how companies like Apple and Twitter use it. Designers use the golden ratio to create visually pleasing and harmonious layouts. It can be found in the composition of art, architecture, and of course, logos. The golden ratio is often seen as a naturally pleasing proportion, which is why it's used in so many designs. Let's take a look at the Apple logo. The circles used to construct this logo closely follow the golden ratio. Notice how these circles overlap and fit together to create the overall shape. And here's the Twitter logo. Similarly, the circles forming the bird's body and head are also based on the golden ratio. These ratios create a sense of balance and harmony in the design. In conclusion, the golden ratio is a powerful design tool that creates subconscious visual appeal and harmony. Companies like Apple and Twitter utilize this ratio in their logos to create designs that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also feel naturally balanced and appealing. The endowment effect is a cognitive bias where people tend to value things they own more highly than things they don't. This effect can significantly influence user behavior, especially in the context of free trials. This effect arises from psychological ownership. When we own something, we develop an emotional attachment to it, leading us to overvalue it compared to when we don't own it. This can be seen in even simple examples. Consider a free trial. When users begin a trial, they experience temporary ownership of the product. This feeling of ownership, even if temporary, triggers the endowment effect. Because of the endowment effect, users become emotionally invested in the product during the free trial. This increases their perceived value of the product, leading to higher retention rates after the trial period ends. In conclusion, the endowment effect is a powerful psychological phenomenon that explains why free trials can be so effective. By allowing users to experience ownership, even temporarily, it increases their perceived value of the product and drives higher retention. Understanding this effect can lead to better user engagement and product success. The Pygmalion effect, also known as the Rosenthal effect, is a psychological phenomenon where high expectations lead to improved performance and low expectations lead to decreased performance. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy where beliefs influence outcomes. It starts with a manager's belief about their team. If a manager believes in the high potential of their sales team, this belief sets the stage for positive outcomes. This belief is then communicated to the team, either directly or indirectly. As a result, the team performs better, meeting or exceeding the manager's expectations. To effectively use the Pygmalion effect, managers should set high, achievable goals, provide positive feedback, and offer ample training and support. By believing in the potential of their team, managers can drive significant improvements in sales performance. In conversations, silence is often underestimated, yet it's a powerful tool. It can be as significant as the words we speak, especially in negotiations and deal-making. Pauses play a crucial role in conversational pacing. They allow the brain to process information, create anticipation, and encourage reflection. This can significantly influence the dynamics of a conversation. Let's see how a pause can affect a negotiation. A buyer makes an initial offer of $100. A strategic pause after the offer can make the seller feel the need to justify their position, potentially leading to a better deal. A well-timed pause can lead to a more thoughtful response, such as a well-reasoned counteroffer. In contrast, a rushed response can lead to impulsive decisions and potentially accepting a bad deal. In summary, incorporating strategic silence into conversations can create anticipation, allow for reflection, and improve negotiation outcomes. Avoid rushed responses and embrace the power of the pause to achieve better results. Let's explore the power of names and how personalization can drive engagement. Consider the difference between a generic message and a personalized one. Personalization, especially using names, significantly increases engagement. In storytelling, using specific names, like King Arthur instead of just a king, makes the narrative more engaging and memorable. In marketing, addressing someone by their name makes them feel recognized and valued, improving the effectiveness of the message. In conclusion, names are powerful tools for creating personal connections, increasing engagement, improving memorability, and enhancing marketing effectiveness. Let's explore the power of defaults and how they influence our choices. A default is simply a pre-selected option that requires no active decision to be adopted. Opt-in systems require an active choice to participate, whereas opt-out systems automatically enroll you, requiring an action to decline. Opt-out systems are effective because of inertia, loss aversion, effort reduction, and implied endorsement. People tend to stick with the status quo. The perceived loss of opting out feels greater than the gain of opting in. Opting out requires more effort, and defaults are seen as recommended choices. Real-world examples include organ donation, where opt-out systems lead to much higher donation rates. Automatic enrollment in retirement savings significantly increases participation. Default software settings are often left unchanged. Pre-checked boxes in email subscriptions result in more signups. In conclusion, defaults are powerful tools that leverage psychological tendencies to influence decision-making. Understanding this helps us design. Let's explore the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. It states that roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. This principle is widely applicable and can be particularly useful in marketing. Visually, we can represent this with a circle where 80% of the area is red, symbolizing the effects, and 20% is blue, representing the causes. This helps us to see the disproportionate relationship between input and output. In marketing, this principle suggests that 20% of your marketing channels likely drive 80% of your sales. Common channels include social media, email marketing, paid advertising, content marketing, and search engine optimization. The key is to identify which of these channels belong to that critical 20%. For example, paid advertising and email marketing might be among the 20% of channels that drive 80% of your sales. Identifying these high-impact channels allows you to focus your resources where they matter most. In conclusion, applying the over-justification effect is a phenomenon where giving external rewards for an activity can actually decrease the intrinsic motivation to do that activity. This often happens when we start to associate enjoyment with rewards rather than the activity itself. Gamification uses game elements to motivate people in non-game contexts. While it can be effective, it can also lead to over-justification. If the focus shifts too much to rewards, users may lose their inherent interest in the activity itself. In practice, it's crucial to focus on enjoyment first and use rewards sparingly. Instead of focusing solely on external rewards, emphasize the progress and personal growth that comes from the activity. The isolation effect is a design principle that uses contrast to make one element stand out. It's about creating visual hierarchy and drawing the viewer's eye to what's important. Let's see a simple example. Here are several gray circles. By changing the color of one circle to red, we immediately draw attention to it. This contrast is the key to the isolation effect. Contrast creates focus. Here, even with a different shape, the yellow circle stands out amongst the blue squares. The unique element draws the viewer's eye because it's different from its surroundings. In a more complex example, we can see how this works with text. By changing the color and adding a box, the word important immediately draws our attention amidst the gray text. In summary, the isolation effect draws attention to key elements, creates visual hierarchy, and uses contrast in color or shape. Let's explore the concept of the illusion of control, which explains why customization significantly drives sales. This psychological phenomenon refers to our tendency to believe we have more control over events than we actually do. Customization is everywhere. Think about ordering coffee, where you can choose the size, milk type, and sweetener. Or consider buying shoes, where you can select the color, style, and fit. These options give us the feeling that we are in control of our choices. This sense of control leads to increased satisfaction and a stronger feeling of ownership. When we customize something, we feel more personally invested in the product and more satisfied with our purchase. These psychological factors translate into higher purchase rates, increased price tolerance, and enhanced brand loyalty. Customers are more likely to buy products they can customize, and they're often willing to pay more for them. Additionally, they tend to stick with brands that offer personalization. In conclusion, the illusion of control is a powerful psychological phenomenon. By offering customization, businesses can tap into this effect, leading to increased sales and brand loyalty. It's a simple yet very effective strategy for success. The hot-cold empathy gap describes our difficulty in understanding how we'll behave in different emotional states. This gap plays a significant role in why we make impulsive purchases. The cold state is when we're rational and calm, often planning ahead. The hot state, on the other hand, is when emotions take over, leading to impulsive decisions. When we're in a hot emotional state, our desire for a product increases, often leading to impulse buys we might not make when calm. To leverage this, designers use emotional triggers like scarcity, social proof, and urgency. These cues encourage impulse buying by appealing to our hot emotional state. Practical examples include flash sales with countdown timers, limited stock notifications, and displaying customer reviews. Understanding the hot-cold empathy gap allows us to design more engaging and effective user experiences. The hero's journey is a universal narrative pattern found in stories across cultures. It's a powerful framework that can be used to create compelling and memorable brand stories. Let's explore the stages of this journey. First, we have the ordinary world. This is the hero's everyday life before the adventure begins. In a brand story, this is where your target audience sees themselves. It's the starting point that provides context for their needs and desires. Next, the call to adventure. Here, the hero is presented with a challenge or opportunity. In marketing, this is where your brand's value proposition comes into play. It's the moment that disrupts the ordinary and promises a better outcome. Then, the refusal of the call. The hero initially hesitates or refuses the call. This is important because it mirrors the target audience's initial objections or doubts about a product. Next, meeting the mentor. The hero encounters a guide who provides support and wisdom. In a brand story, this could be where the brand showcases its expertise, superior quality, or specific benefits. Then, crossing the threshold. The hero commits to the adventure, entering a new world. In marketing, this is the customer's decision to buy, subscribe, or engage with your brand. Following that, tests, allies, and enemies. The hero faces challenges, meets allies, and confronts enemies. For a brand, this could demonstrate the product's benefits, how it helps overcome obstacles, and the brand's customer support. Then, the approach to the inmost cave. The hero prepares for the major challenge. In brand storytelling, this is where the product's key features or unique value are emphasized. Next is the ordeal. The hero faces the biggest challenge, often a life or death situation. This is where the brand demonstrates its effectiveness, showing how it solves the customer's biggest problem. Following that, the reward. The hero claims victory and gains a reward. In a brand story, this showcases the benefits and positive outcomes of using the brand. Then, the road back. The hero starts the journey back to the ordinary world. This illustrates the brand's continued support and its role in the customer's ongoing journey. Next, the resurrection. The hero faces a final crucial test. This is where the brand's transformational power is confirmed, showcasing how it has changed the customer's life for the better. Finally, return with the elixir. The hero returns with a treasure or lesson that benefits others. This highlights the brand's lasting impact and the value it brings to its community. In conclusion, by applying the hero's journey, brands can create stories that resonate with their audience. The Gruen effect is a design strategy used to disorient customers within a store, encouraging unplanned purchases. It is named after architect Victor Gruen, who initially intended for malls to be community hubs, not just shopping centers. In physical stores, the Gruen effect is achieved through winding pathways, strategic placement of products, and a lack of clear sightlines. These elements disorient customers, making them more likely to explore and make impulse buys. Now let's transition this concept to the digital world. A landing page is the online equivalent of a store. It's where visitors land after clicking a link, and it serves as a crucial point for conversions. To apply the Gruen effect to landing pages, we can remove the gaze cueing effect is a fascinating phenomenon where we automatically follow the direction of another person's gaze, shifting our attention accordingly. This subtle but powerful effect plays a significant role in how we interact with and perceive the world. Let's look at a simple demonstration. Here's a face with eyes that can shift their gaze. When the pupils move to the right, our attention is automatically drawn in that direction. This is the fundamental principle of the gaze cueing effect. The underlying mechanism involves the brain's interpretation of eye direction as a cue that something important might be present in that direction. This process is largely automatic and requires little conscious effort. Our attention shifts involuntarily as we follow the gaze of others. The gaze cueing effect has many real-world applications. In social interactions, we use it to understand what others are referring to. In advertising, eye contact is used to draw attention to products or messages. Even in user interfaces, designers use eye icons to direct our attention to key elements. In summary, the gaze cueing effect is an automatic shift of attention. Let's explore the faceism ratio, how the proportion of a person's face versus their body shown in an image affects our perception. This ratio is particularly relevant in advertising, where visual framing can significantly impact how we view individuals. Close-up shots primarily focus on the face, often used to emphasize the person's intellect, competence, dominance, and authority. This framing technique directs attention to facial features and expressions, creating a sense of intimacy and importance. In contrast, wide shots include more of the body, often emphasizing physicality, attractiveness, and sometimes objectification. This framing can diminish the perception of authority and competence as the focus shifts away from the face. When we compare, the difference is clear. Close-ups emphasize the face, leading to perceptions of intelligence and authority. Wide shots, focusing on the body, can highlight physicality but may reduce perceived competence. In conclusion, the faceism ratio plays a crucial role in how we perceive individuals in advertising. Close-up shots highlight intellect and authority, while wide shots emphasize physicality and attractiveness. Understanding and strategically using this ratio is essential for creating effective advertisements. Today, we're exploring FOMO engineering, which uses social proof to influence our decisions. FOMO, or the fear of missing out, is a powerful motivator, and social proof, seeing what others are doing, amplifies this effect. Next, we have testimonials. Positive reviews and endorsements from other users build trust and make the product seem more desirable. Selling out tactics use phrases like limited stock or almost gone to create a sense of scarcity and urgency. This pushes us to make quick decisions, fearing we'll miss out. So how does this work? These tactics bypass our rational thinking and trigger emotional responses. Our brains are wired to follow the crowd and avoid missing out, making us more susceptible to these manipulations. In conclusion, FOMO engineering uses social proof to create a sense of urgency and influence our decisions. While these tactics can be effective, it's important to be aware of how they work and make informed choices. We must also consider the ethical implications of using these techniques. Let's explore color calculus, how hex codes manipulate emotions. Colors have a profound impact on our feelings, but how exactly does this work? In contrast, blue and red evoke opposite emotions. Blue represents calmness and trust, while red represents passion and action. Color choices are crucial for user experience and branding, as they can significantly influence how people feel and perceive things. Metaphors are powerful tools that connect abstract ideas to familiar concepts. They help us understand something new by relating it to something we already know. Metaphors bridge the gap between complex processes and simplified understanding. By using familiar concepts, they make the complex more relatable to your audience. Let's explore the importance of send time for email open rates. Timing is a key factor for ensuring your emails are seen and engaged with by your recipients. Time zones play a vital role. Sending emails based on the recipient's time zone ensures they receive it at a convenient time, increasing the likelihood of it being opened. Work habits also influence engagement. Sending emails during times when recipients are most likely to be checking their inbox can greatly improve open rates. AI predictions provide advanced insights. Algorithms can analyze recipient behavior to predict the most effective times to send emails, maximizing open rates. In conclusion, achieving the perfect send time involves considering time zones, aligning with work habits, and leveraging AI predictions. By combining these factors, you can significantly improve email open rates. The illusion of choice refers to how our decisions are influenced not just by the available options, but by how those options are presented to us. This phenomenon highlights the impact of framing on our decision making process. A key element of this illusion is the decoy effect. Here, a third, less desirable option is added to make one of the other choices look more appealing. The decoy's purpose isn't to be chosen, but to shift our perception of the other options. Visually, with just two options, it's hard to see which is better. But with three options and a decoy in the mix, option B becomes the clear winner. The decoy makes option B seem like a much better deal. This is why three plans often feel better than two plans. With two options, we may hesitate. But by adding a decoy plan, the premium plan becomes the obvious choice. The decoy option makes the premium option look more reasonable and appealing. In conclusion, the decoy effect significantly impacts our choices. By adding a third, less desirable option, we can make one of the other options seem more attractive. This shows that how options are framed is often more influential than the options themselves. The identifiable victim effect describes our tendency to feel more compassion and be more willing to help a specific individual as opposed to a large group of people. This is a powerful bias that affects our decision making. Statistical data, while important, often fails to evoke the same emotional response as a personal story. Numbers can feel abstract and distant, while a specific victim's story can create a powerful connection. In conclusion, the identifiable victim effect is a cognitive bias that significantly influences our decision making. We are more likely to be moved by a specific individual's story than by overwhelming statistical data. Understanding this effect is crucial in marketing, fundraising. Let's explore the hindsight bias, the tendency to view past events as more predictable than they actually were. This cognitive bias makes people think they knew something all along, even if they didn't. This feeling of inevitability arises when something makes sense after the fact. It feels like it was always meant to be, even if there was no way to know it beforehand. Customers often experience this bias. Before they know about your product, they might be unsure and have many choices. But after seeing your product's success, they might think it was obvious all along. To leverage this bias, position your product as the logical next step in a clear progression. Show how it naturally follows the existing trends and fills an obvious gap. Instead of presenting your product as a random invention, position it as the natural evolution of the market. By doing so, you'll make it easier for customers to accept it because it will feel like it was always meant to be. The framing effect is a cognitive bias that demonstrates how the way information is presented significantly influences how it is perceived and interpreted. The same information can be viewed very differently based on the context and emphasis provided. To better understand framing, let's look at the difference between features and benefits. Features describe what a product is, such as technical specifications or physical attributes. Benefits, on the other hand, describe what a product does for you. Consider these examples. A camera with 20 megapixels is a feature, but the benefit is capturing stunning photos. A laptop with a 1 terabyte SSD is a feature, but the benefit is storing all your important files. A car with 300 horsepower is a feature, but the benefit is enjoying powerful acceleration. Visually, framing can be represented by showing a product with its features emphasized on one side and the same product with its benefits emphasized on the other. Notice how the focus shifts from what the product is to what the product does for the user. In conclusion, the framing effect highlights how the presentation of information can shape perception. To effectively communicate, choice paralysis is the state of being overwhelmed by too many options, often leading to indecision or even inaction. It's a common phenomenon that impacts our ability to make choices effectively. Imagine a store with shelves packed with numerous items. The abundance of options can be overwhelming, making it difficult to decide what to choose. This visual illustrates the feeling of having too many choices. When faced with too many choices, we often overanalyze and overthink, leading to indecision. This can result in frustration and a failure to make any decision at all. The paradox of choice suggests that having more options doesn't necessarily lead to greater satisfaction. There's a point where the increase in options leads to a decline in happiness and decision-making ability, as shown in the graph. Limiting options leads to easier decision-making, reduces stress and anxiety, and can significantly increase conversion rates. When choices are simpler, people are more likely to make a purchase. We see this in action in many places. Restaurants with limited menus, subscription box services, and curated product lists all leverage the power of fewer options to simplify the customer experience. In conclusion, simplifying choices can lead to increased customer satisfaction and drive sales. Understanding choice paralysis and the psychology of decision-making is crucial for business success. Let's explore the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve and its relevance to SEO. Understanding this concept can help us create content that stays relevant and effective over time. The Ebbinghaus forgetting curve illustrates how we rapidly lose information over time if there's no attempt to retain it. Notice the steep initial drop in retention, followed by a gradual decline. After just one day, we retain significantly less, and after a week, that retention is even lower. To combat content decay, implement regular content refresh cycles. Think of it as relearning the information, which helps to counteract the forgetting curve. Furthermore, the repetition of key points through re-optimizing and promoting. Let's explore the neuroscience behind successful cold emails. The core idea is that effective cold emails connect, not just convince. It's about personalization, not just persuasion. From a neuroscience perspective, personalization activates the brain's reward and attention centers. When someone feels that an email is tailored to them, their brain responds positively. This is crucial for breaking through the noise. Generic cold emails, on the other hand, tend to trigger the brain's ignore response. When people feel an email is mass-produced and not relevant to them, they tend to dismiss it immediately. Personalized emails, however, create a sense of relevance and value. When people feel that an email has been carefully crafted for them, they are more likely to engage and respond positively. So how do we personalize? Start by mentioning specific interests or projects. Refer to content they've shared, acknowledge their role or company, and always use their name and title. In conclusion, personalization is more than just a tactic, it's about building real connections. By focusing on the individual, you can create emails that resonate and drive meaningful engagement. Cluster analysis is a powerful machine learning technique used to group similar data points together. This allows us to discover patterns and structures within datasets, which is especially useful in customer segmentation for precision targeting. Customer segmentation involves grouping customers based on similar characteristics, such as purchasing behavior, demographics, or interests. This process helps businesses understand their customers better, enabling them to tailor their products and marketing strategies more effectively. K-means is a popular clustering algorithm that divides data points into K-distinct clusters. It works by iteratively assigning data points to the nearest cluster center, called a centroid, and then recalculating the centroids based on the new cluster assignments. Here's how K-means works. Initially, cluster centers are randomly placed, then each data point is assigned to the nearest center. The cluster centers are then recalculated as the mean of the points assigned to them. Let's explore the anchoring bias, which explains how our first impressions heavily influence our buying decisions. This cognitive bias refers to our tendency to rely too much on the first piece of information we receive, which acts as an anchor when we make subsequent decisions. Let's illustrate with a numerical example. If you're asked if 10 times 9 times 8, and so on, is greater than 100, most people will quickly say yes. But if you start with 1 times 2 times 3, and so on, most people will say no. The starting numbers act as the anchor, influencing the initial perception, even though the actual product is the same. In pricing, the anchoring bias is a powerful tool. Retailers often use a higher original price as an anchor, making a discounted sale price seem like a better deal. Even though the sale price might still be relatively high, the anchor makes it seem more appealing. Anchoring bias is pervasive. In luxury goods, high prices create an anchor, influencing perceptions of value. In real estate, the initial listing price sets expectations for buyers. Even in negotiations, the first offer acts as an anchor, shaping the final agreement. In summary, the anchoring bias highlights how the first piece of information we receive acts as an anchor, influencing our decisions. It is widely used in pricing strategies and negotiations. Being aware of this bias can help us make more informed choices. Let's dive into why your cold emails might be failing. Are you sending out hundreds of emails only to find most of them landing in spam? There's a good reason for this. We'll use a split screen to show the difference. On the left, we have a generic cold email, and on the right, a hyper-personalized email. Here's a typical generic email. It starts with "Hi, first name," a very common and impersonal greeting. The language is vague and doesn't address specific needs or interests. This kind of email is often flagged as spam. Now, look at the personalized email. It uses the recipient's actual name and references a specific recent activity, such as a LinkedIn post. This shows that the sender has done their research and is genuinely interested. As a result, this email lands in the inbox, not spam.